coming through here goes out into the early 1800s. It brought people to the area, and we were a tourist destination long before people understood what it was. Filmed and completed in 1966, right here in the Deeper District of Bay St. Louis. It starred a young Robert Redford, Natalie Wood, Charles Bronson, Catherine Reed, John Provost, and the list goes on. It was a one-act play that Tennessee Williams wrote, and then a film was made of it, and the name of it was His Property is Condemned. So if you have a chance to see that fabulous classic movie, please do, because this depot, the grounds, the structures across the street, and then down the street were feature buildings throughout the movie. It was filmed here, probably 90% of it took place in this location, with a fictitious little town name during the Deep Depression. Robert Redford worked for the Train Company, which was the last true economic anything in this little town during the Depression. And he was sent in by the company to shut it down, and people didn't look kindly upon him. Of course, he fell in love with Natalie Wood, and she ran off to meet him in New Orleans, got sick and died. So that's about it. But other than that, there's an awful lot of drama. It was before our movies were rated.
I noticed in the oaks, those white things, at night times we have lit up our live oak trees in other areas of the back there with the white things.
Yeah, from the bridge.
Came over to America in 1923. They went up to Greenville, Mississippi, and had a little bit of difficulty there, somewhat, simply based on the fact that this is not too long after the war between the states. And you see, a priest has the same equivalent of a master's degree or higher once they're ordained. So they were kind of run out of town. They came down here. We've always been a mixed community. I always tell people the poor were poor, the rich were rich, and it didn't matter what race you were. And so it was a mixed community. When they came down here, they established a St. Augustine Seminary out on the highway back in 1923. The first group of ordained African-American priests was 1934. Since that time, we've had at least 6 of them go on to become bishops throughout the world. So that's quite an accomplishment for Biloxi, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, to have that first African-American seminary. Now, this used to be the same as a regular Catholic church when it was built in 1926. People had fallen away from the church like people do with little town churches. Then you had a priest, a young priest, come to town named Father Ken Hamilton. And he wanted to revitalize this church. So you took the old altar out, and he decided to go with the theme of the live oak tree because they are so important to our area. They are deeply rooted. Their arms stretch up toward heaven. And also they have seen it all. They've been through human storms with the civil rights. They have been through also regular storms with the flood in the area, I think. But I'll find out from her who the artist is.
That are here, they were all damaged, but there were 2 groups of graduate students who restored all of the artwork for us at Merchant. This area where we're standing is what's is the reception hall where guests were received, and the decorative art is all painted by hand. There's no wallpaper or anything like that here. There have been at least 2 restorations since the original artist came and painted all of this. And then we had to have another restoration because of storm damage. And our artists were here for 13 months, for the most part working 7 days out, except right here. And she wanted this to be a Confederate soldiers' home where people who had served in the war could be supported by the state of Mississippi at no cost to them. And so, for a period of 54 years, ending in 1957, there were almost 2,000 people who were supported out on the property in dormitories, supported by the state of Mississippi, and almost 800
5.5 years now, of IP telling a news story about itself. We were a very poor property in the early days before this management team took it back. And Mr. Lucas came in before Katrina and decided he had a vision to change this entire facility. And we've changed it, gutted it from its core philosophy and its physicality. All aspects of it have been completely revamped. It's no longer the same property. This property had a reputation of not being security, being unkept, very poorly managed. Employees were not paid well. Things were, I mean, it was just about as Joe versus the volcano. Do you remember that movie? Meg Ryan? It was like that. So he came in and changed everything. Part of what our plan was, I'm the first PR person they've had on staff for this degree. My focus has been community outreach. We donate about $3.5 million a year to various nonprofits around the Southeast. Probably more than that. It may get up into the $5 million mark if we count our in-kind services, because we help people do their fundraising around the Southeast area of the United States.
The island. You'll see pipes where sand is coming out, and that's where they're actually building the island up. Over here, behind the Beau Rivage, where you can see that tuft of trees, that used to be the only land over there, and it used to just be a little mound of sand. You can see when we go by it, the amount of sand that's around it now. There used to not really be a landmass there. And what's here used to not be there at all. So that's this island replenishment. They're planning on having it finished, I think, by March, and then they're going to begin planting trees, like mangoes and live oaks and things like that, that are a little bit more